Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be exploring the legendary aspect of fantasy. What I mean by this is we're going to be exploring the legendary figures such as folklore heroes as King Arthur, Robin Hood, and St. George as an example of tropes that came from those particular stories. Now these stories, many of which are not true, they're folklore, developed in different periods of history to explore concepts such as nobility, heroism, and the origins of chivalry. So we will be exploring these topics as well as briefly touching upon the legends themselves. Now I will also include references to other videos on YouTube that I recommend you watch for a full breakdown of these legends. So join me as we explore folklore. So let's talk about King Arthur. Arthur Pendragon, the illegitimate son of Uther Pendragon, and king of...
I am Arthur, King of the Britons.
Arthur serves a very important role in early English folklore. This period of history is not long after the fall of Rome and all their holdings, including England, which was controlled for centuries by the Roman Empire. This Arthur comes about as the heir to the throne by being able to pull the sword Excalibur from a stone. Now, it is in this event that the Arthurian legends begin. Now, Arthurian legends, most of what we know of the Arthurian legends, stem from a French writer who I'm not even going to attempt to say the name of it. I will put it in the title card of the video. But basically, this interpretation of Arthurian legend is where we pull most of our knowledge of that story from, such as the love affair between Lancelot and Guinevere and the love triangle that ensued, the illegitimate son of Arthur, Mordred, the Lady Igraine, the dark sorceress Morgan Le Fay, the heroic wizard Merlin, the Knights of the Round Table such as Galahad. All these figures stem from this interpretation of Arthurian legends. Now, Arthurian legends, how they fit into the fantasy DNA is the heroic king. The king that came from lowly beginnings to become a hero and to fight to protect his people. Now, Arthurian legend has been adapted numerous times in many different formats and many different forms. Everything from video games to anime features such as Disney's The Sword and the Stone. It even inspired modern interpretations such as the Dark is Rising and books in that series. Arthurian legend is an example of great storytelling, and like with many other legends and lore, it has been built upon by later writers. Now, it is impossible to know where the Arthurian legends truly began, but we can trace most of our modern interpretations to the source I mentioned earlier. Now, I do recommend you go and check out another YouTuber who goes into the lore and the tropes associated with Arthurian legend. I will actually put her video in the description below. Please check her video out. She's a really good, well-researched YouTuber. With that being said, Arthurian legend also, we start to see an intersection with religion as well as folklore and legends, mainly with the search for the Holy Grail, which becomes a big plot point of the Arthurian legends. The Holy Grail is supposedly the cup that Christ drank from at the Last Supper and can bestow power or immortality to whoever drinks from it. And they use this actually to incorporate Arthurian legends into the Indiana Jones series as well with The Last Crusade. So Arthurian legends have had a big part of our understanding of fantasy and adventure. Another aspect of it is the sword Excalibur, which is supposed to be the sword of kings. Excalibur is a heroic sword that has all sorts of powers associated with it. It was given to Arthur by the Lady of the Lake, a mythical creature. That being said, Arthurian legend, like I said, has an intersection with real history, religion, and fantasy. Of course, Arthur did not really exist. There are some parallels to real historical kings, but those are very fluid. Those aren't really 100% the most accurate way of looking at Arthurian legends. Arthurian legends at the very core are a fun, light-hearted but with nuanced adventure story, and are the basis of the fantasy story in that regard. What does it mean to be a hero? That is the core question when applied to the legendary figure of Robin Hood. Now, Robin Hood, very much like King Arthur, is a lore-heavy and folklore-heavy character inspired by real historical period and figures. Robin of Locksley returns home after the Crusades to find his family's ancestral lands taken in lieu of paying taxes. These taxes are harsh, imposed on nobles and others by the villainous King John, formerly Prince John, the brother of King Richard. These taxes are imposed by the villainous Sheriff of Nottingham, and his quest for power, John makes an enemy of Robin Hood. Robin Hood is also friends with the beautiful maid Marian, who is the cousin of King Richard, and is almost a way of King John being able to unify the crown under him. This character is roguish, charming, and brave, and is an expert archer. He's also teamed up with a bunch of bandit outlaws in Sherwood Forest that help him fight King John and the Sheriff of Nottingham. Now, what's fascinating about this character is he actually appears in another folklore-heavy story from the period, The Tale of Ivanhoe. Robin is depicted as having a heroic disposition and very, should I say, a little bit arrogant in most depictions of the character, but his heart has always been in the right place. Now, again, he is a fictional character created totally by the times that he was created in. But during this period of history, King John had actually imposed heavy taxes on the townsfolk and the common people, as well as nobles, during this period. He is widely regarded was the worst kings in English history, even losing his crown in a river. Now, many interpretations kind of don't focus on that, focus mostly on the rivalry between Robin and the Sheriff of Nottingham, and the love story with him and Maid Marian. But there's also subtle subplots and stories that relate to the overall narrative. Again, he is the archetype for the rogue. He's the archetype for the swashbuckling hero. He has excellent fighting skills. He's an expert archer. He too has been adapted multiple times. Some of the most famous interpretations of him are Kevin Costner's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. There's also the parody of that film, Robin Hood Men in Tights. There's also a short-lived BBC series of the same name. The character also appears in the ABC original series Once Upon a Time, among other fictional characters. Robin also has been loosely adapted in the BBC series Doctor Who, as well, in the Robots of Sherwood. So overall, Robin Hood is, like King Arthur, is a very well-known English legend. He appears in multiple properties. He is always depicted as this heroic character. So if you don't get a chance, please check out the Robin Hood story. Either watch one of the adaptations, which are usually mostly pretty accurate. Like I said, they do skip over some things, but most of them are pretty accurate. And he, again, will go on to inspire the rogue or the ranger character from fantasy literature.